I thought I'd give 12 sermons right now. On the next day, that is, after the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "We remember how this impostor," I'm just wondering how this rang in his ears, right? On the next day, the day after the day of preparation. So the next day, the day before it, when they hung Christ on the tree, there was an earthquake. The sun hid its rays for hours. People that were dead came back to life. The temple had a curtain that was torn in two from top to bottom. This is the next day. The day after the day of preparation, the day of the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate. Pilate, who the day before his wife came to him and said, "Have nothing to do with that righteous man. I have suffered much in a dream about him." So the next day, after the earthquake, the sun hit its rays, the dead were raised, the temple's curtain torn in two from top to bottom, and his own wife is saying, "Man, I have nothing to do with this righteous man." They come and said, "We remember how this impostor," I'm just wondering how it rang in Pilate's ears. Like, not an impostor. No way. Impossible, you know. Well, he said while he was alive, "After 3 days I'll rise again. Therefore order the sepulchre to be made secure until the third day, lest his disciples go and steal him away and tell the people he has risen from the dead." Now the ones who were coming, the chief priests and Pharisees, they may truly have believed that Jesus was an imposter, but it was against every, if their hearts were soft, there's no way they could have thought him an imposter. You know, if they have a conscience at all, there's no way they could have seen what they saw, heard what they heard, and believed, yeah, total fake. There's just no way. They were too involved in too many of the stories. So let's say there's 35 stories about Jesus. They were probably witnesses to a dozen of them. And they were investigating all of them, right? Because they were sick of him. They wanted him gone. So did they only meet the man who had been lame all those years by the pool in Bethesda, in Jerusalem? Maybe they only met one guy, or a blind man, or the parents of the blind man they were investigating. So this is what was going on, right? We've read the Gospels. I mean, we've read almost all of them tonight, you know. All of this is going on. So they come and say he's an imposter. There had to be something in their own, back of their head saying, maybe not. Maybe they just had no faith. Actual, just no faith. It's just so hard to believe, you know. And they come to Pilate. Pilate says, "Well, you have a guard of soldiers. Go and make it as secure as you can." Which just doesn't sound, you know, I know I bring it up every year, those that have been here a while. Make it as secure as you can just doesn't sound like he's got a lot of faith in his soldiers, you know, who will all be put to death if Jesus isn't there. And he still's like, do what you can. My money's on Jesus, you know, somehow. Do what you can. So they went and made the sepulchre secure by stealing the stone and setting the guard. So this is where we are. Palm Sunday was not very long ago. I knew we'd get to this point, you know, where Jesus would be alone. We started out with a huge crowd. It said, you know, the city, you know, I don't know what that really means, but a lot of people were laying down branches they had cut. We're singing Hosanna. We had the kids screaming it just a few days ago. And here we are. Jesus is alone. Nobody is with him except two thieves, one on either side. And I love that we sang this 3 times tonight. "Thou made the thief worthy of paradise on the same day." He's on the tree and he goes, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." Today. You're in. Don't have to do anything. You know. You want in? Remember me? Okay. I'll remember you. It's so full of grace. So we'll come forward and we'll venerate the cross of Christ. And I would say to you that You know, it was Alexander Solzhenitsyn that said this, and I know I've brought it up before, and it's a famous quote that you're familiar with, that the dividing line of good and evil splits right through the heart of every person. That we'd like to say, you know, if we're not careful, we would sing against the God-hating Jews. We sang this over and over in one part of it. You know, it's those people that don't like God. And we have to be honest and say that in our own hearts there's a division. There's good and evil playing out. I believe Solzhenitsyn's right. You know? And at least we can say this, that within our hearts there is, and maybe there's so much grace in the service tonight and the services of this week, this day, and all of the what's to come, that the quiet part of our heart, like the part of our heart that's more like this church, it's like peaceful and prayerful, you know, that's like candle lit and has Christ right in the middle of it, that part is like pushed out maybe against the part that is a noisy marketplace, you know, that is just taken with the world and that is just longing after things that are temporal and things that are base and things that are no good, you know, things that are vicious instead of virtuous. But we can at least say that there's this battle going in our hearts between like the peaceful like monastery where we can meet Jesus and pray. That's that part of our hearts, you know, that sweetness of this, like this place. You know, the whole like pulling onto the property, like, there's like our hearts like that, and then our hearts like the noisy marketplace. There's a battle going on. When you come forward to venerate, let's give ourselves to Christ. He is our very life. You know, he is our very life. You know, give our hearts to him, our life to him. Determined, like become determined to push out the noisy marketplace part of our hearts. Finally, like turn the tables over, you know, of the marketplace, end the business there, so that all that's left and what we can nurture is that like garden where Christ is, you know, that peaceful place, the prayerful place. Go in peace tonight also. You guys have done so well, so don't visit in the church. If you want to say hi to someone outside, totally fine. But go peaceful and prayerful. We're into Good Friday. This is the morning service for Good Friday. As you heard, let us complete our morning prayer to the Lord. It's a strict fast day. I mentioned this earlier this morning to those who were here. If you can go without eating, go without eating. If you want to, you know, whatever you're doing, just push harder on it. You know, one meal, if you're doing 3 meals, do 2. Like, go for fasting. You know, go try. And just, you know, as best you can, if you can take Friday, this day off, do it. You know, maybe you've already determined to do that by now, I don't know. But, and we have service again at 8 in the morning, royal hours, very sweet. It's about an hour and a half long. Mostly psalms and some sensing, some intercessions. And then we'll decorate the beer and the teens will dye eggs and we'll set up for Pascha. And then 3 p.m. the unnailing Vespers will take Christ off the cross. Nicodemus, you know, the one that came to Christ at night and I think became determined that he knew who he was dealing with. And then shows up with 100 pounds of spices to anoint Jesus. It's a lot. And Joseph of Arimathea will take Christ down off the cross. That's at 3, and the unnailing Vespers. And then tomorrow night at 6, we'll do Lamentations, the procession and all of that. So, God bless you, and grant you, like, your heart's awash in all the gospel. Like, don't lose it too soon. It's so good for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.